Okay, we've got another non-spark. Now, these bikes are made by KTM, so they can be notorious for various electrical issues. This system is a bit more simpler on this bike, but some of the more modern systems on the road bikes are much more complicated. But even the more simple ignition systems will still need a process of elimination. So when you've got a spark, you'll see a light in that glass. On these types of off-roaders, definitely the best place to start is the engine stop switch. They can rather arc on the earth, or they can stop working altogether, and that will basically send a signal to stop the spark permanently if they're malfunctioning. So best thing to do is rather unplug it completely and try to spin over the engine, or we can just test it with a multimeter to be absolute sure that it's working correctly. Now I removed the switch housing just so I can identify which colours are the stop switch, because it's also got a horn button on the same control, so I want to see which one the wiring to the stop switch is so I can test it correctly. Okay, so without getting distracted with that round head in front of me, I'm going to put my multimeter leads on either side of the stop switch so I can test it. So it has two cables, one going up to the switch and then it comes back. So I found both cables on either side of the switch. Now that beeping's a bit low coming from the multimeter, but basically every time I push the button I hear a beep, which tells me there's continuity every time I push the button. It's working perfectly, it's not the problem. So time to move on. Now this is definitely a test worth learning. We're going to be testing the pickup sensor. Common thing that can go easily to test rather than just replacing it and possibly wasting money. That's not the problem. What I have in front of me is a LED bulb. It's just a standard LED 501 bulb. I've stretched it out so I can put both pins into the connector. Now if I spin it around and see a signal, we're all good. It should blink every time it hits TDC. See that? Blinking. So sensor's working perfectly fine. Also it's worth noting it has to be an LED bulb to do this test, as the signal is a very low current and LED bulbs work from the smallest current of 1 watt, so it'll be perfectly fine to pick up its low current. Okay, next we're going to test the coils. Now the easiest way to do that would be to have a reliable spare coil where you can just replace it. I didn't even have the exact coil here as the one on the bike. It has a very specific plug connector, so look, makeshifting some wire, I'm just going to probe it and it will work the same. So if there was a spark, this coil would still be powered. You just need to get the terminals to receive the same signal. So yeah, fix it all up, spin her over and see if she sparks. If she don't, on to the next test. No spark still. What do you want?
Why is this not playing this?
Because that's original. And this is a junk.
Have you got a better Allen key?
Make sense?
So what's gonna blow up?
Yeah, it'll be fine. No schoolboy errors on checking something basic like fuses. Okay, let's see if we can connect with a computer and see if the ECU will tell us anything that may help or give us an indication. Look, from experience, computers are never going to tell you the exact problem, but they are very good at giving you a direction. Now, this bike doesn't have an ignition key, so I've had to bridge the ignition relay to keep the ignition on all the time. This will keep the ECU awake to plug it in. Now the computer refuses to connect with the bike. Now this starts drawing my attention to rather a wiring issue to the ECU or the ECU itself. So we will start looking in that direction for a problem. Now just as we tested the engine stop switch, I'll use the same method to test the wiring of the ECU. So I want to check it from any breaks in the wire, from the pickup to the ECU, and also from the ignition coil. So same thing, when you hear a beep, you know the wire's not broken. Also you want to check it towards earth and make sure it's not touching on the earth and shorting either. Right, so as you can hear by the beep, we've got a good connection there.
Like I said, tomorrow.
Yeah, all good on that one too. Okay, through checking the wiring diagrams, it indicated there's a vehicle fall sensor, you know, what cuts the ignition when the bike falls over. That could definitely cause this issue, so I located it inside the airbox. And I have a generic one which they fit a lot of different bikes, these fall sensors, so you know, saving time testing it would be just to replace it and see how you get on. I actually didn't have any luck with that, so the only component that's not testable is the ECU, so I'm gonna definitely take a go on getting a replacement. I've done enough diagnostics to say that everything's fine, wiring, sensors. It's definitely time to start putting a part on this, and definitely would go ECU first. So I'm going to go ahead and order one, and you can check back in and see how I get on. Okay, let's cut this open. Okay, so we got the replacement ECU. It is used, but hopefully she's still good. Let's find out. Right. Right. New ECU. Let's just sit that there and test. Now obviously you want to see a spark here. We're praying for a spark. Get in there. Now that is the face of good news. Okay. Problem solved. So I'm probably going to get this all washed up now and then put it back together and let it fire up. So I'm back with the gas. It's all been put back together and complete. He's firing up, everything's good. So what I'm going to do is, last thing would be to test ride it, make sure everything's good. Customers due in today to pick her up, so I'm going to give it its final checks. Let's get on it. Okay, this is tall. The bike's tall, I'm not sure. Don't forget that. The problem with these is they don't like to be driven slow, they just want full power. So the test ride went well. It's ready to go back. I'll get a bit of customer feedback on the performance of it. Now I'm going to bear in mind that it does need its top end rebuild, so we'll be back in after the weekend. I think it's going to take out one last time, and then we'll be back in for that kind of work. Okay, thanks for watching and stay safe and enjoy the ride.